Just like having relevant and accurate information is necessary to make sound hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a sponsor of the Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Additional funding for the Spark is provided by Christian Brothers University, Mueller Industries, MyTown Movers, MyTown Roofing, MyTown Miracles, and by Serves.
This month on The Spark, our theme is Strengthening Home. We'll learn more about an organization fostering leadership among women and support programs that enable women and children to reach their full potential. A nonprofit providing the learning environment and tools to build the next generation of commercially successful music professionals and entrepreneurs. And a global manufacturer with a 100-year legacy that's based in Memphis and giving back. We'll also share a special moment from our Spark Awards 2017. Ever been excited by a new idea? Inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes making a difference in their own way so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders who are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. They're an organization fostering leadership among women and helping women and children reach their full potential. We're here with Shirley Clark, the Development Chair, and Nisha Powers, the Grant Chair for Women's Foundation for a Greater Memphis. I always love saying for a Greater Memphis.
We love having you say that too.
Absolutely, it's important. So Women's Foundation
important.
for a Greater Memphis. But let's start with a little bit of history for Women's Foundation for a Greater Memphis.
Well, we've been in the Memphis community for more than 20 years, and during that time we've invested about $20 million. And we've done it through a very broad focus in that we have, I think, used over 100 grantee partners and more than 500 programs over the years. But we began to see that to be really impactful and help people understand what we're doing and be able to measure what we're doing, that we needed to have a more focused approach. Now, we are an organization, as you said, of women helping women and their children break the cycle of poverty. And we do it by fostering philanthropy and encouraging leadership and working with a host of local and national agencies to provide the resources that help people be successful and find solutions to breaking that two-generational cycle.
Yeah, there's so many amazing women that are part of this organization that have steered it for so many years, but to pull them together is important, to be able to work on philanthropy and, to your point, now be very strategic. And obviously the mission was focusing on women and children, but now to really fight poverty starting in a certain area. Talk about kind of this switch, because it is a definite switch on being a lot more strategic. And I know, is it Vision 2020 is the plan for this?
It is. Great intro and setup for that. Thank you, by the way, Jeremy. So in 2015, we launched Vision 2020. And the intent was really, like you said, to focus on a specific area so you really can see the impact. So we probably in the first year have invested about $2 million. And if you were to kind of multiply that through over 5 years, which is really the program Vision 2020, the name comes from. And in that time, we'll invest almost $10 million in the program. And the intent is, and back to that poverty issue, is to reduce poverty in the 38126 zip code by 5% over that 5-year period. So that's the big audacious goal that we have set. And we also want to make sure that we measure those things that we are dreaming up. And so we're working with the University of Memphis. So we've set kind of data parameters for all the applications that we receive from the different agencies and organizations that are working towards supporting our mission. And so in that work has been some heavy lifting in the first year. We're learning a lot about how to improve for the next year. But some of the numbers that I want to share with you is just incredible. We have reached 3,500 people in the 38126 zip code with our work in the first year. And we've I think there are about 300 people that have been placed with jobs, and so they're
Nice.
getting a steady income coming in, which, I mean, you know, when I cite these numbers, I want you to think about them as individual people. So we name these big numbers, but really it's a person.
Well, and it's the ripple effect
300.
too with their families. So in other words, you think about a
Absolutely.
job,
That's
that's one of those
exactly
where
right.
that's not just a change for one individual, that's a change for 4, 5, 6, 10, you know, it goes on.
Absolutely, and we speak about this always in a multi-generational process, so
Right.
that's why we always talk about the woman and her children.
Right.
And so that ripple effect is huge. And there have also been 400, speaking of children enrolled in early education programs and daycare programs, and we know, and data tells us that yes, academically, that's a huge lift for them, that you know that they're going to be successful in school and possibly college, but it also talks to their life success when they start at that early childhood level. So, and we've also then, when we go to the next level of youth development, we've also worked with almost 800 youth in providing positive developmental programs for them as well.
How many different nonprofits, when you look at kind of working through and being able to support them and help the women find the jobs and the children, how many different nonprofits do you think overall, give me a range of that you typically
So
work
for
with?
this particular program, it's been through 25
Wow.
partnering organizations.
That's great.
And they all, and we worked very closely with them, sleeves rolled up, talking to them very specifically and making sure that they understand that there was a shift. I mean, it was a very challenging first year, obviously, because we went from this broad thing to this narrow thing that those organizations had to understand, and that they had to understand that the metrics mattered at the end.
Right.
So they had to really come to the table with saying, yes, we're going to pursue this with you and support this with you. So it was a real partnering, and yeah, 25 organizations came to the table in the first year of our Vision 2020.
So what can we do to help?
Well, we've just completed our tribute luncheon, which is our huge event. And if you've never attended, I would encourage you to do that, and your viewing audience to make plans to do that, because when you have almost 1,700 women in a room at the convention center celebrating the success that Nisha has talked about, it is powerful. It is very powerful. We also, prior to that, have a Legends Award reception, because over our history, we have recognized women in the community who have made such a difference in our community. Right. Women like Maxine Smith. I don't have to talk about the contribution she made in civil rights. Beverly Robertson. Pat Morgan, who worked with the homeless. Barbara Prescott, whose advocacy for education. So on and on and on. And as part of that, we have art and text that tells their story. And your viewers can go to Baptist Women's Hospital and see all of the artwork that recognize those women over the years, and it is really exceptional. So that's recognizing the work that women have done before us and that support us. As far as what your audience can do, and you can do, and WKNO can do, we also have another event, Power the Purse, which is an auction. We are primarily a fundraising organization. As Nisha described, we depend on those 25 partners and a number of other local and national agencies to help us fulfill that mission.
Well, I greatly appreciate all you're doing, and definitely am encouraged and excited, and to see this thing play out is going to be extremely exciting. So thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for all you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having
Appreciate
us, Jeremy.
They're a nonprofit providing the learning environment and the tools to build the next generation of commercially successful music professionals and artists. I'm here with the Consortium MMT Vice President and Executive Director, Fenton Wright. And let's start with, what does MMT mean?
Memphis Music Town. And so we know that Memphis is known for its history and its heritage, and it's our goal to make sure that it's known for its present and its future.
Absolutely, and you have a very famous name associated with this organization, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. We were founded by National Songwriter Hall of Fame member David Porter, Stax legend, well known for many great hits, lifelong Memphian, and committed to making sure that all the things that Memphis has provided him in the music industry, he can pass on to the next generation.
Absolutely. So what makes us unique is it's not just the studio element, it is the mentorship, all the tools, learning the business, the production. I mean, you're holistic in every way with this. Talk about kind of why that's so important for an artist to have this level of professional support and guidance.
Right. So our mission is to create a viable music industry in the city of Memphis. And so we know that there's talent here. We know that there's a great music community. But in order for us to have an industry, we have to have artists, entertainers, producers, songwriters, and all those connected to the industry earning incomes that are going to be sufficient for them to remain here in the city. And so not just seeing who's doing what in terms of, who's a great singer, who's a great songwriter, but giving them the tools and equipping them for the industry assets as they come. So part of our responsibility is preparing the talent. The other part is making sure that those who are in the industry are aware that Memphis has talent. So we're promoting a lot of our talent to those outside of the city, so our talent don't have to go outside the city in order to find opportunities.
So let's start with mentorship. Talk about mentorship and that sort of guidance, and then we'll dive into some of the actual programs.
Okay, so our flagship program is the Soul Right Music Mentorship Program, created and written by David Porter, the curriculum. It is designed to take aspiring record producers, songwriters, and recording artists or entertainers through a 6-week process that gives them industry insights, information on good song making and creation, how to identify good opportunities in terms of creating music. That program takes them through this process, and it enables them to see exactly how to hone and craft their skills. It's a bit of a beginning point in terms of saying, we know that there might be talent, but how do we cultivate that talent in a way that makes it industry ready? And so those who successfully complete that program and show the most promise to be marketed to the industry, they're elevated to a program that we call the Emerging Stars Network. And our emerging stars are those recording artists, songwriters, and recording producers who are actually industry ready, as we call them. Now, industry ready means that they have a sound or they have a quality about their craft that if there was someone looking for a good producer, a good songwriter, a good entertainer, we would be able to point them to this person and say, this person should be a part of your label or part of your stable of artists or talents. Now, what we do though, because many talents have barriers to entry in terms of continuing to work on their skills, we've developed a talent development complex at 119 South Main that has 4 recording booths and a live room, along with a rehearsal stage and creative space for those emerging stars to call home, and they can book time in order to develop those skills and talents. They can produce an entire project there in our facility free of charge. And so, we want to make sure that that's not a barrier to entry for them, that they can continue to work on their craft so that when the industry assets do come knocking, they will say, yes, I have this EP, I have this work that's ready for it. And we also give them the business tools and legal advice to make sure that they're, not advice, but information to make sure that they are aware of all there is to do and prepare for an opportunity.
Well, I just want viewers to understand, this is, one, how big this is. To have access to the mentorship, I mean, that alone is huge, to say, okay, here are the learning curves, here's what to avoid, here's what to take advantage of, here's how to do it, here's how to write successful songs, hooks, all these things. That's one piece. To have the physical studio that you can use to be able to do that for free, to have the guidance, the development, the collaborations, the marketing potential that you're out there promoting the Memphis brand and these artists and professionals. And it's not just the artists, it's the professionals and the songwriters.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and just one more word about the mentorship. Within that program, that 6-week program, they're not just hearing from David Porter or a few facilitators. We have what we call a Legends Library, 135 videos that were filmed by industry leaders, and we're talking about heavy hitters like Stevie Wonder, Valerie Simpson, Ricky Minor, Anthony Hamilton, Ledisi. These are individuals who've dedicated and devoted time from their schedules to record videos, training videos for our population, for our students. And it's not just something that we pull from YouTube or from the internet. They come on, each person comes on and says, "Hi, MMT. This is Anthony Hamilton. I want to talk to you about protecting your vocal cords," or something like that.
That's awesome.
And so they get insight and wisdom from these legends, as we call them. And one of the things that we like to say is that we're using the legends of today to help create and develop the legends of tomorrow.
That's right. I love it. So talk about, you have many ways that the public can help. Talk about how the public can help.
Absolutely. If you would just, they can follow us first of all on our social media platforms, the Consortium MMT and the Talent Development Complex, or Memphis Talent. They can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. They can go on to our website, theconsortiummmt.org, to play support. They can donate right there on our website. And as they see events and activities that take place throughout the year, we would love for them to be a part of our audience. One of the things that we do, yes, we have a small group of talents and students that come through our program, but we also have a number of programs that we use as a tool to educate the broader talent community and to bring that broader talent community together. And so we have a speaker series that we do in partnership with the University of Memphis. We like to make sure that the information that we are receiving and that we're passing on to our talents, some of it is necessary for anyone, whether they're a part of our programming, media programming or not. And so we would like for them to come and participate in those events and activities as well.
Well, Fenton, love what you're doing, and definitely am excited to see the next generation. It's so awesome to see that you're preserving the legacy, but also building that next generation. So thanks for all you're doing, for coming on the show.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you.
The Spark Awards annually recognize and celebrate individuals and organizations that have made outstanding contributions to the community. This year's recipient of the Individual Adult Award is Joseph Tyler.
My story begins as an active duty service member myself. I'm an Air Force veteran. I was medically retired out of the Air Force due to a heart condition that I incurred while in the service. I was running a PT with my squadron and I passed out. My heart stopped for a while and actually was considered dead for a moment. When I got out or got to the hospital and revived by airmen who were trained alongside of me, which I thought was a special ordeal because I knew these guys personally. I went into the hospital and went through that process. I was medically retired out and I just wasn't satisfied with my service. I wanted to continue to serve, although if you understand how that process works when you're going through a medical board with the Air Force or any military branch, you stand in front of a board of your peers and you have to hear the devastating news that you're no longer fit to serve, and that carries along with you for a while. And so when I returned home and understood that there was many other veterans, especially here in Memphis, that was going through pretty much the same thing, or if not a little more in detail with their situation, I decided to give back in a major way for our veterans. First starting out with helping with disability claims with the VA, and from that point I began helping homeless veterans. And when you begin to uncover the layers of the issues that our veterans are faced with or dealing with, you begin to see that there's many other things that those guys need in terms of getting back to self-sufficiency. And so I started a nonprofit organization, the Mid-South Veterans Help Desk, in which we help veterans get back into the workforce. Those who are in the homeless situation, we help them with resources and housing if need be. Help veterans getting jobs, as well as just a who, what, when, why questions. How do I seek particular benefits? How do I help my spouse? How does my dependent get benefits for college? And so we found that in Memphis, and especially the greater Memphis area, West Tennessee, we have almost close to 90,000 veterans within the local area. It's the highest concentrated area in the state. And so those guys really need that help. We're undermanned, and so a group of veterans and myself decided to start this organization to kind of fill the void where there was holes and gaps for our service members.
How many volunteers do you get to work alongside at this point?
I work with a countless number of volunteers, and the special thing about the military community is that there's many veteran service organizations who jump along to help, your VFWs and American Legions, DAV. They're almost like a group of volunteers you have in your back pocket that you can pull out at any time, because we all serve the same mission, and that's helping veterans. And so when it comes to counting the number of volunteers that I've worked with, I couldn't begin to count.
The They're a global manufacturer with a 100-year legacy, and they're based right here in the Mid-South. I'm here with the Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Mueller Industries, Inc., Roscoe Buffkin. So Roscoe, Mueller Industries, Inc., based here in the Mid-South. We'll talk about that in just a second, but what in the world does Mueller Industries do?
Well, Jeremy, Mueller Industries, we're a global manufacturer comprised of a lot of different companies and operations around the world. We specialize in copper and brass and aluminum, but we also make products from plastics and steel to a lesser degree. Most of our operations are here in the United States, but we do have operations in Canada, Mexico, Great Britain, China, South Korea, and we're currently building a new manufacturing facility in Bahrain.
Nice.
We are traded on the New York Stock Exchange, symbol MLI. We're proud to have such accolades as being a Fortune 1000 company and being on Forbes list of America's most trustworthy companies. Our world headquarters is out in East Memphis, and we have been in the area since beginning in 1995.
And so when you talk about, let's talk about what you do. So you mentioned copper and piping and things along those lines, but describe what you do, where all these kind of items play out, because they're in the household, they're in commercial, they cover a pretty broad use, and many of us don't realize that stuff we might have in our house comes from Mueller Industries.
Right, right. You know, when you look at all the companies under our umbrella, most of the products they make fall into three areas, and it's either in supporting piping systems, supporting climate control, or supporting industrial metals. When you think about piping products, you're thinking about anything that supports flow control applications of all types. It could be plumbing in your home, could be a mechanical system in a commercial building, could be medical gas in a hospital, it could be refrigeration lines in a grocery store, all different types of similar uses. When you think about climate control products, you're thinking about compressors, receivers, accumulators, sight glasses. These are all products that most people don't really know about, but they're key components to any type of air conditioning, refrigeration, or any climate management system. The industrial metal side is very broad. I mean, in this area, we're sometimes producing just raw materials such as copper, brass, or some other custom alloy that another manufacturer is going to machine or make into one of their parts. Yep. Other times, we're providing something much more finished or engineered. And in this case, we support a wide array of industries ranging from appliance, aerospace, medical, defense, military, sporting goods, and more.
Talk about 100 years. You just recently had the 100-year celebration, and with that, you had a chance to go back and look through the archives and kind of tell that story. So share with us, when you look at a 100-year legacy, give us some of those highlights, because there's been some pretty big wars and things that you guys have played a part in.
Right, right. The company has a fascinating history. We celebrated, again, our centennial in 2017. So we started in 1917 producing munitions for World War I. Soon after that, we kind of diversified and then started making a lot of different products for the basically in industrializing America. There were a lot of different new companies, new businesses coming about. So we marketed early on to the fledgling refrigeration industry. We pioneered copper tube and copper plumbing for potable water applications in homes. We then went quickly into making a lot of different products for World War II. In World War II, we made everything from things that supported tanks to submarines to aircraft to we even made parts for the Norden bomb site to actually the company in that period was actually awarded the highest honor by the Army and Navy for our contributions to the Allied war effort. Later on, the company has a very rich history and its interesting history and its mergers and acquisitions over the years that helped it diversify. Has a very rich history in its financial story. Some of the most well-known names in finance have been associated with our company. It's really a fascinating company with a great history and a great future.
Yeah, and Mid-South roots, which is awesome. So talk about the philanthropic side, because I know that in many cases, being a global company, your team is spread out, but they are involved. And even here locally in the Mid-South, you yourself serve on boards, volunteer, giving back, everything from education to YMCA, youth development, covers a very broad bandwidth, even University of Memphis with their leadership programs, the LEAD program. So talk about philanthropy and why that's so important to Mueller Industries.
Well, a lot of our operations are, when you look at it, we have manufacturing facilities in a lot of different towns around the United States and other areas. And at the end of the day, it's great people and great communities that make things happen. And the fact that we're there and we try to support our people in the local effort. So whether it's we're helping support the ball fields in a small town, or whether it's in Port Huron, Michigan, or whether it's in Fulton, Mississippi, a lot of the work that we do doesn't seem to really show itself always in a broad mass type of scale, because it's more targeted. So in the local communities where we have local facilities is where we kind of shine and do our best. But we find that we have people who get closely involved in the community. Like I said, I know I do my part here in the local area, and we do some things as well in some other areas. But the fact is that the company knows that our great people want to do good, not only in the work that they do, but in their communities, and we try to help them where we can.
Well, last question is, where do we go to learn more about Mueller Industries, Inc.?
I would say the best place is to visit our website. Go to www.muellerindustries.com to learn more. I think that would be that's probably the best place to start.
Well, Roscoe, thanks for all you do and for coming on the show and sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
As we saw in this month's episode, there are countless organizations working hard to lift and strengthen our home by helping others, providing jobs, support services, and opportunities to learn and succeed, and doing whatever it takes to make a difference. Organizations like the Women's Foundation for a Greater Memphis are taking a leadership role in aligning people and resources to empower women and children to reduce poverty in Memphis. The consortium MMT is providing the mentorship, education, tools, and access needed to help local artists build successful careers in the music business, and they're creating the next chapters in our city's rich music legacy in the process. Companies like Mueller Industries are not only providing jobs for generations of family members, they're creating products that help us improve health and comfort while also working to improve our community as well. I love their statement, more than the part we make is the part we play. Thank you for watching The Spark. To learn more about each of the guests, to watch past episodes, and to share your stories of others leading by example, visit WKNO.org and click on the link for The Spark. We look forward to seeing you next month, and we hope that you'll join with us in creating a spark for the Mid-South.
Just like having relevant and accurate information is necessary to make sound hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the Positives and be a sponsor of The Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.